Hello and welcome to another video from the Fan Pub.
As always, great to be back, and it's Al's turn to pick player. And,
Yeah, I've got an interesting one for you.
I thought you've kind of done away with all
He's
your horrible Alshon Jeffrey ones and all those kind of guys.
He's ADP is 13.
Okay.
He's a player I'm not going to draft this year at all, any cost.
At any level. You're not no chance, no matter what.
I'm slightly more likely to now because he's moved from the horrible Giants.
Okay. Yeah.
Mind you, he spent most of the time, calling them out for being rubbish.
Yeah.
And lying on the treatment table, so it's not like he's done a lot of damage.
Odell Beckham.
Yeah, Odell Beckham Jr.
Interesting. Okay, so thoughts for this year. Well, you know us. You know that we hide things. You know by now that we don't go with the trend. We don't think it through the way they do, and we certainly are not prepared to just risk it all. This is a player that has got some serious red flags around him. He's never stayed healthy, so there's a big problem here. We've had a couple of years where, let's be honest, it's been fairly injury-riddled, really, isn't it? I think he's a very cavalier player. I respect the fact that he's prepared to sell himself almost on the play, like go right over the middle and put his body on the line for that play. As a quarterback, you can't think of a greater thing. I mean, there's, the respect level that goes out for a player like this is massive. I mean, there are players that give up on plays. This guy doesn't. But it's been to his detriment, massively to his detriment. So what I'm going to talk about has to come with an air of supreme caution because you know what you're getting yourself into. If there was a swing for the fences kind of guy this year in drafting, the one that everybody's not going to be talking about is him because he could slip more. He's at 13. I could see him dropping a little bit more, maybe 16, 17, 18, that kind of range. Maybe by the time big drafts come round, that's possible.
Oh, every chance, I think.
I like him for this year in that way. I think if he could go into the second round, I'd be very much more comfortable taking a swing at the fence with him because I think he's going to give you potentially a top wide receiver that you're getting cheaper. The trouble is, you also have to remember what we've always preached, which is this, the risk. And if you know the risk, you have to then ask yourself, are there other wide receivers at this point? And there are. This is the issue that Odell Beckham faces. There are other wide receivers that could also give me top 5 numbers sitting right there as well alongside him, outside the first round. Mike Evans, Brown. I don't have to take those risks with, who are pretty confident they're going to give me the season and do me a good job.
You do know Brown plays for the Raiders, right?
Yeah, I do, but he's solid. I mean, he's work ethics.
He's solid, yeah.
We put that into video. If you haven't seen the video, go and have a look at it. It's a great video where I talk about, somebody's already looking at it now, which is great. Looking at the video about Brown and why I personally like him, but really coming back to OBJ, there are supreme risks. He could give you, in essence, he could be the number 1 wide receiver this year. The problem is, he has never stayed healthy, and that is why, for me, unless he fell into the second round, it have to be late, and it's going to have to be late, so I've got a second and an early third pick to balance it, which isn't going to happen. He's nowhere is he falling that far down the board, no way. Then I'd take a shot at him. But as he's not going to do that, he's on my swerve list. He's on a player that I kind of like, probably like yourself. I just can't do it because I don't want to risk losing my draft. If I'm taking him in the first, he's got to be a 200-point player. He hasn't played to give me 200 points. I can't do that. I believe he has got top talent. I believe he could be number 1.
No, that's undoubted.
He could be the number 1,
but
can he play 16 games?
He can't. I mean, he's done it once in 5 years. 5 years in the league. Yeah. He's played one full year. That tells you that, you basically you've got a 1 in 5 chance of him playing a full year.
And that's
the stat.
And that's no good. And
he only played 12 last year, and he played 4 the year before.
Well, he was, for those 12 games as well, not really all of them where he was at his best either, was he? So, he had some issues hanging over him from the injury.
He was carrying injuries before he finally went down.
So I'm personally very very clear on this guy. I respect the talent. Chance of the number 1, yes. Absolutely.
I respect the talent, but
an elite when plays, absolutely yes, but there's a big chance he doesn't.
Is there? Because this is why another reason I don't like the bloke at all.
Yeah, I understand that.
I don't like that he went. I mean, Eli Manning's
yeah
obviously been poor and terrible, but what you don't need is your own teammate going on a TV show,
tearing you
calling him out. Yeah.
No,
and that's why he's been traded at the end of the day.
It's bad form. Look, I mean, the quarterback Eli Manning. I'll just close that again. I don't know why. He wants to come in now as well. We have this in the video a bit. Eli Manning, for all the people that doubt the guy, when he's played clutch games has been perfect for the Giants.
Yeah, he's not what he was.
No, but he's won 2 Super Bowls. I'm not going to knock the guy for declining stats. I know that full well as any other fantasy analyst knows. The guy is definitely heading downwards, and unfortunately the future is very clear where this is heading for him. But you don't need to call him out. I mean, that's wrong on so many levels.
It's ball form, and that's is there a thing in fantasy where you won't draft a player because you dislike them in real life? You dislike...
we've seen that in the Alshon Jeffrey video.
All these histrionics with punching the kicker's net.
There's certain players who you believe won't do it for you. And I've honestly believed that.
You've had bad luck. Keenan Allen's one for you, isn't he? And
Alshon Jeffrey. Every time I draft them, even though they're great players, I'm not, and I'm not, when I talk about Alshon Jeffrey, I'm not, I in that video, whenever I've drafted, and he hasn't really lived up to much in the last few years, to be honest, he's been okay, but not at his ADP. Keenan Allen has been amazing when he played, and last year he played brilliant. And when you look at the tape, he meets all the eye tests. I'm not knocking Keenan Allen for what he can do.
He's just unlucky for you.
For me, he's unlucky. So it's for me, and you have to know yourself who these players are because it varies. Some people just can't seem to catch a break, but I know certain things about myself, and when I pick a certain player because I think, that's a cheap ADP. I've got him a little. I end up with a kidney or a lacerated liver or God knows what else. And you think, where did this come from? It's unbelievably unlucky.
Ingrowing toenail.
It's a turf toe injury that happened with AJ Green. Things like this happen. So,
he's had that toe operated on.
Yeah. So anyway, with situations like this with OBJ, you kind of can't get into if he stays healthy. We talked about this before. If he stays healthy, if he misses 16 games, he could be the wide receiver 1. Sure,
he can. I mean, he's
of course he could.
And he's probably playing with the most talented QB.
I think he can stay healthy this year. I think he could play most of the season. Yes, I think so. If he takes away some of the Cavalier attitude, but there's more mouths to feed there in Cleveland. A lot more players in Cleveland. Very interesting players in Cleveland. It's a much more different situation than Giants, where he really was the figurehead. This is a different ball game. So I'm swerving, and he'd have to fall very late into the second round.
Yeah, we're not saying he's a bust because if he plays,
he can dominate. But attitude is a big problem, and attitude also I hate that in my team when my own player in fantasy, although it's got no relevance on me whatsoever, is kicking benches and swearing at his coaches.
Kind of affects me. Nets and
I want to trade on them if I'm honest. I'm worried that they're about to do something really stupid.
I mean, he is a massive talent. No one can take that away from him. But just be a good teammate.
Yeah,
you can be a good player and a good teammate.
Well, I'm glad you've highlighted him, and I think he's a really good one because a lot of people are falling out of love with him a lot this year. So there's going to be somebody who's going to get some value somewhere. But the question is, are you prepared to do it? I can't at this moment in time. That ADP is crazy high for me. There are other wide receivers lower down. I much prefer who I feel will do me as good, if not a better job, and I haven't had to risk anything to get them.
What I'd also like to know in the comments, who's your sort of voodoo player that always lets you down every time you pick them and it puts you off picking them again? Or players you dislike and you'll never pick, or even if it's from
I have
the
ultimate voodoo player.
Have you?
Yeah, Ryan Fitzpatrick went on a 6-game tearing up
Fitzmagic,
run. Fitzmagic. Yeah, it's for everybody else but me when I put him in.
When you get a late round QB, Fitzmagic's your man.
Yeah, I had quarterback injuries. He got a 6-game tear. I picked him up. I got a great, waiver wire. Managed to pull a great situation off. Got my Fitzmagic, set him on the bench. Everything fell right. My quarterback went down. I got him sitting there. He's had a great run. Now's the time to strike. Put him in. Great matchup. 6 interceptions. Thanks for throwing away the win. Well done, Fitzy.
I enjoyed that week. One of my all-time favourite fantasy weeks.
It was a great week, and that was part of my 43 fumbles / interceptions in 7 weeks. That was quite some run. Yeah, some players you just hate them. He's one of them.
You're not going to draft him this year?
Never.
But he could be great value.
Could be brilliant value.
Well, look at the beard.
The beard alone's worth points.
I'd definitely draft him.
Good
for you.
Well, thanks. Yeah, and then
when you're away from
the
keyboard.
You'll trade him to me at some point.
Yeah. So who are your players that you just you can't have them at any price because
name your players. That's a good one. Name your voodoo list. Let us know who they are. Maybe we'll mention them in a special video. That'd be quite fun.
Yeah, it would. It could be good to go through them and stories where because you had Andrew Luck in that good year, and then you got to the final and he scored how many points did he get?
0.16.
So when you really
he got injured within the
would
first.
Would that put you off drafting him?
No, it's different. He's a different player.
Because he got you there.
Yeah, he got me there, and it wasn't his fault. He got injured. That's just bad luck. That's the way life goes, isn't it? That's football. That's fantasy.
Bad
luck. Yeah, that's the way it goes. But he's been brilliant. He was brilliant last year. He's back.
Once again, if you've enjoyed the video, hit that like button for us, and hit the subscribe
We'll
button.
see you in the next video, and we look forward to your thoughts.
This is almost like counselling for Sean, because we like to give him these players that have hurt him in the past to see if he can get through it. And that's what kind of guy I am.
Yeah, that's very kind of you to give them to me. I like your thinking, and I hope that on draft day you leave a few of these little players for me to quandary over for about 3 seconds.
If you're picking after me, I know I'm going to be leaving for you.
Thanks, mate.
You just give me a list.
Thanks.
It's like Christmas.
That's lovely. Cheers, pal. Right, see you at draft.
Thanks very much.